Well, hello, hello, hello. This is the Joshua Bible study. This is chapters 1 through 5. Doing this a little bit different. You can basically break Joshua chapter 1 through 5 as Joshua leads Israel. But let's get started into chapter 1. So it starts out that after the time of the mourning for Moses, as we're ending up Deuteronomy, Moses had died and they're mourning for him 30 days. The Lord spoke to Joshua. The Lord tells him to go over the Jordan to the land that was promised. Verse 5 says, "No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. This book of law shall not depart from your mouth." Verse 9 is one of the most popular verses out of Joshua, Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." So then later it gets back to the Reubenites and Gadites and half the tribe of Manasseh. Remember that the oath that you gave to them, basically all the way back in Deuteronomy and all the other ones, half the tribes stood back to be with their family. They had swore an oath that when it came to the time of battle, they would leave their family to come battle. So the people tell Joshua, "Just as we heeded Moses' words, we will do the same for you. Only be strong and have good courage." God commissioned Joshua and gave him the order to cross over the Jordan. And that is the end of chapter 1. So then we get to chapter 2. Chapters 1 through 5 are pretty small. So chapter 2, so in this chapter, Rahab hides the spies. So Joshua sends 2 spies secretly. Really, no one knows, but of course the Lord and Joshua. They get into the town and they stopped at the house of the harlot. And the king of Jericho had learned about some things and said, "Behold, have men came here tonight from Israel to view the land?" They told Rahab to send the men out. She told the men to climb out the window. So once they did, she hid the men. And then she went to the people from the king of Jericho and told them that they had left. Once the soldiers left, she tells them, "I know that the Lord is taking this land." She's telling the spies this. She asked that if the Lord can spare our family for helping. The men answered her basically to say, "If you truly do not tell of this, we shall hold an oath to you." So she let them down by a rope through the window because she lived on a city wall. So just imagine a wall. She lived in kind of a little, I don't know what you would basically, you could maybe call them their studio town apartments back then. But she lived off the wall. She let a rope down to let them escape. She tells them to go up the mountain and hide 3 days. So they said that if anyone in your house, your father, etc., anyone, if you obey this command, they won't do nothing to him. But don't listen, and we will kill them. The blood is not on us. If you break this oath, then we are blameless to what happens." She answered, "So be it." Once they returned to Joshua, they said, "Truly, the Lord has given us this land. They are faint-hearted because of us." So the spies are telling Joshua that these people, they really do fear us because they're learning of all the things that have happened. So Joshua chapter 3, so the chapter starts out with Joshua wakes up early in the morning. A lot of people in the Bible do, and a lot of Christians, we wake up early in the morning because we realize it is the greatest time. So as he woke up early in the morning, so they came to the Jordan, and all of them camped there before they crossed over. 3 days later, the officers went around saying, "Once you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God and the priests and the Levites, then you set out, but stay 2,000 cubits, and that's 3,000 feet away. You have not passed this way before, so follow behind. Joshua then sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, take up the ark and cross over. The Lord told Joshua this day, I will begin to exalt you in front of all of Israel, that they may know I'm with you like I was with Moses. How honoring that would be if you think about that. Because at the end of Deuteronomy, it tells you there is no other prophet like Moses until, of course, Jesus comes. But so the next part is amazing. The Jordan gets parted, just like the Red Sea did. The priest shall stand in the Jordan. Joshua told all to come here and to hear the words of the Lord your God. They are told that the living God will drive out the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Gershonites, the Amorites, the Jebusites. And the priests during this time stood ground until they all crossed. They stood in the middle of the Jordan as it just was stopping from each way. The waters wouldn't flow. Israel crossed the Jordan is the way to wrap this chapter 3 up, is basically the best way to wrap it up. So we get to Joshua chapter 4. And once all the people crossed over, the Lord spoke to Joshua. He told him to gather one man from every tribe. Then tell them to take 12 stones from the Jordan. From the place where the priests are standing, carry them over to the place where we are lodging at. Each of you are to take up a stone on your shoulder, then to place them. This is to tell the future generations that we crossed the Jordan, that God parted the way for us. This is a memorial stone, you could say. Once Joshua put the stones where the priests stood, once everyone passed over, the priests stood till then. Then they crossed. Men of Reuben, Gad, the half-tribe of Manasseh crossed over, armed before them like Moses said. It says 40,000 prepared. Once the priests crossed back over, the waters returned to normal. They flowed from bank to bank. Then the stones got set up, and Joshua told them to tell the children, when they ask what these are for, tell them the story of God parting the Jordan like he did the Red Sea. So to wrap up Joshua chapter 5, it is this part 1. This one's a little bit of a bigger chapter. It starts growing a little bit, but so you can start this chapter out calling it the kings of the Amorites and the Canaanites. They were by the sea. They heard that the Lord had dried up the river so that the children of Israel could cross the water. So they were panicking by the sounds of it. They were scared. It says there was no spirit in them anymore because the children of Israel. The Lord tells Joshua to circumcise them again. Make a flinty knife. So Joshua did all of this because all the men who were circumcised after leaving Egypt had died by this point. Remember, they're wandering around for 40 years. So the new children that were made in the wilderness after Egypt had not been yet because they had been wandering around for 40 years. And there was because of the disobedience. So they hadn't had a chance to do this yet. So now it was time to do it before they entered the land. So they did this, and all who were circumcised stayed at the camp until they were healed. So the Lord said, we shall call this place Gilgal, which means circle of stones. They kept the Passover on the 14th day at twilight. Back circle a little bit, Gilgal. You start hearing this from here even all the way up into David's timeline. So that now this becomes a major city that we are going to hear a lot of, Gilgal. But after all of this, they had no more manna fall for them, for they had produce of the land now. So for all this time, they were still having the manna fall from the sky. This is still what they were eating. This can be broken down down to the second generation circumcised, is basically what you can call it. The last part can be called the commander of the army of the Lord. So Joshua gets a visit. And I personally think this is the Lord, but I'll leave it for you to think for yourself. Just like Moses had to, Joshua saw a man opposite of him with a sword drawn. Joshua asked, "Are you for us or for them?" The man said, "I am the commander of the Lord's army." Joshua fell face first and worshipped him, saying, "What does my Lord say to his servant?" He said, "Take off your sandal, for the ground is holy." Now, the only reason why I said leave this up for yourself is if you look it up online, a lot of people don't think it is Jesus. But I couldn't see God anointing Joshua worshiping a man other than Jesus himself. I just couldn't see them allowing. A lot of people put online that Joshua, well, because they called, leaders back then lords, so they were bowed down and worship him. I think it would say that they would bow down to them in the Bible, but I don't think it would add worship in there if it was a king, because that now falls into the lines of exactly what Egypt did and why they got destroyed. So if you study that and looked it up, I want to clarify that up on my belief, and that is as I don't have a religion. My religion is Jesus Christ. I'm a pastor. I don't have a denomination. I believe religions are evil. I'm going off a little further to carry that on, but I just want to leave that as my personal belief, that there is no way that this would be construed for he is worshiping anybody other than the deity of Jesus Christ. So thank you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. The next part will be chapters 6 through 10. And I'm going to only do them 5 chapters at a time. So God bless you guys.